What is going on, trainers? Sticks10 here, and today we are going to take a look at the Prismatic Cup. I want to do a team building guide here, give you some idea how to start building your team so you can compete in Prismatic Cup. Jumping right in, we are going to start with our anti-fighting core here, and I am going to suggest your first pick goes to Hypno. It is the strongest generalist in this cup, and I think it has a lot of options going for it. You can run Thunder Punch and Shadow Ball. You could also run 2 Elemental Punches. And there might be a kind of a niche maybe for Focus Blast. It really just depends what the rest of your team looks like. But definitely I recommend Hypno. You may also want to look at Whimsicott in this as well as another option, but you could also pick that. We'll find out later that you could pick that maybe in a later slot. But Hypno definitely looks like a solid early pick for anti-fighting. And here we are going to pick, for our second pick, we're going to pick our fighter. And so we've got a lot of options for fighters in this cup, and they all have a lot of value because there are quite a few types that they could counter here. And then you also have, like, within this group, you can see different ones are going to be weak to different things. And so that's really where the rest of your team is going to balance out what you pick for your fighter. Early favorites that I've seen are Hitmontop. You've got Chestnut. You've got Sudowoodo, which is very interesting, especially with as much Talonflame as we're seeing in this meta. And then we've got Gallade, which I think you could actually run as an anti-fighting or as a fighter, either way, because of that confusion damage. And then we've got a Blaziken, and then we've got our Lucario there. So that's definitely some options there for your fighter. This isn't limited to that. Escavalier isn't pictured here, and several others that you could run for your fighter in your core. Next up are going to be our flying types here, and these are going to include all of our dragons and things like that. So we are going to include Dragonite, Flygon, Talonflame, Kingdra could be included in this one. We also have Gyarados, and then we've got Mantine and Honchkrow in here. I think you can include Driftblim as well as just some options here for a flying type Pokemon that's going to kind of counteract your fighters as well. Now, Flygon of note in this cup, it does look better with Stone Edge. Currently, my only one, as you guys saw in some of my previous videos, I was running it with Earth Power, and so that's the only one I had powered up. But Stone Edge, definitely a better option here in this cup because of the flying types and also because of the fire types that are available in this cup. I think you could also, we've got in our anti-fighting, we've got Togekiss in there. I think you could run it in your flyers as well. So just a lot of options for your flyers in here, and I think this is going to give you a good starting point at least to see what is available in the cup. And now we are going to go into anti-flying, basically just the opposite of that. We've got Lantern, Magnezone, Alolan Raichu. We've got Probopass. I think Probopass, you could run it maybe either way with Spark or with Rock Throw. We've got our ice types as well in there, and then we've got Crustle. So you have a lot of options in this cup for anti-flying. Some of these could also be anti-grass, because we are going to see a lot of that. So a lot of options here, and this main role is to defeat the flyers, and also some of them can have some good matchups against some of the other Pokemon. Lantern seems to be an early favorite for this pick, but definitely I see some play, especially from like Frostlass. I've seen some early play there, and Probopass also looks very strong so far in this cup. With our fifth pick, we are going to pick something that protects our fighters. So a lot of these are just going to be anti-Hypno picks, but they also can fight against several other things that we've put in there so far that we may find in the meta. So you see our Snorlax, Munchlax, Zangoose, Alolan Muck, we've got Shiftry, and then we've got Driftbloom in here as well. A lot of these are going to be safe swaps. I think you could include Skunk Tank in this list and several others that are in this meta. There's a lot of options, guys. and I'm just not going to cover everything in this video. So this is just the basics of the Prismatic Cup to give you some team building guides. If you find a Pokemon that you like and it fits one of these team like kind of modes or whatever, you know, put it in there, see how it does, practice with it. And I think that is the best advice I can give you is practice, practice, practice. See what holes your team has. Also study the meta, see what some of the early meta looks like as far as team building goes, and then build your team kind of around that and what you feel comfortable with. But definitely the fighter, protecting the fighter here. So I've liked Munchlax so far, and I think Snorlax gives you just a different option there because of the charge moves. It has a little less bulk, I think is the main difference between those. And then Alolan Muck and Shiftry, both with those dark type moves, are really good so far from what I've seen. Shiftry also has access to Leaf Blade, which is going to be really strong, I think, in this cup with all the water types that we have going around. So definitely should be interesting seeing how all those play out for this protect the fighter or safe swap role. And for a 6 pick, I'm going to give you a flex option here. So basically you're going to want to go back through, figure out which slot you haven't selected for yet, and find something that covers some weaknesses or something in your team. A lot of, you could go back, maybe you haven't picked the Whimsicott slot yet, and you could go and pick that up. Or, some other slot. Maybe you haven't selected your water slot, blue slot yet, and you can go back, pick something in there that you want to use. Maybe Quagsire or something like that. Quagsire does seem like an interesting flex pick in that it beats Lantern in certain shield scenarios, and then it also beats Talonflame. The 2 shield against Talonflame is always tough, but that is meaning they have to land the bait in that. So I think that'll be an interesting pick, Quagsire, for your flex pick, or whatever you really find that is going to cover your weaknesses of your other 5 picks and round out your team is going to be what I suggest. We're going to go into a couple sample teams real quick just to show you some examples of what we picked and which slot, and then we will end the video after that. So here's the first team that I selected. We've got Hypno, we've got Lucario, Talonflame, Alolan, Raichu, Drifblim, and Flygon. Figure out what you guys think is going to be good about this team and what's going to be bad about it. Leave it in the comments down below. I want to know what you guys think. I did practice with it, so I can let you know there is a weakness to this team, and I wasn't necessarily super happy with how it performed. For me, maybe for another player, they can figure out how to play it a little better. But I just wasn't super happy with one thing about the team, and I think I resolved it on the next team I'm going to show you guys. So let's jump into that. So here you go. We switched our fighter pick to Blaziken. We moved Drifblim up into the fighter spot, Lantern, Shiftry, and then we got Munchlax in there too. Felt like this was a better team, maybe a little more cohesive for me. I also felt like I could get to charge moves a little bit faster, and I think it was just a better overall team for me. There are quite a few kind of safe swaps in this team, which I felt lended itself a little better to the cup. It also does have a lot of bulk in Drifblim, and you've got Munchlax and Lantern and Hypno, all are fairly bulky Pokemon, and then we kind of have a few that are frailer with Blaziken and Shiftry there. So just a good balance here. Definitely, I would recommend you guys take, ideas from this video. Look at these slots, figure out what fits in there, what fits with your team, what you're comfortable with, and practice it. Go to Go Stadium. I want you guys to start queuing up, trying to get in those Prismatic Cup battles as much as you can. Definitely, they released a new feature on Go Stadium. I really like how it's queuing people up better now, and so definitely recommend that. Or find some local people that you consistently battle with, and definitely just get those battles in. I want to thank everybody that's battled with me so far. I've had quite a few Prismatic Cup battles in making this guide, and then also just previously before that, getting introduced to the meta and everything. So I want to thank everybody for those battles. Also want to thank my Patreon supporters. As always, I appreciate what you guys do for the channel. Link in the description down below. Also, if you guys haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Try to help them build their teams for Prismatic Cup. As always, guys, keep on battling.